Well, guys, here we go. It's happening, and it's hard to believe it, but it's happening right before our very eyes. Britain prepares to be bombed by Russia. Yep, you heard that right. Britain, the UK, first world nation here. Not that I don't really like to call it that, but a nation that hasn't seen any action like this since World War II, is now preparing to be bombed by the Ruskies. That's right. And you heard it here first, or at least I heard it here first. I mean, this is pretty big news, guys. A British war order has gone out, a dispersion of fighters to civilian airports to avoid Russian first strike. First time since 1939. Can you believe it? I can't believe it, but I can believe it because I know that we're in the end times. And this is what is supposed to happen in the end times. It all goes to pot. World War III breaks out. Hey, Black Box, good to see you. I mean, pretty incredible, guys. Let me scroll down here and read you some of what's happening here. Great Britain is preparing at full speed for a conflict with Russia as for the first time since London declared war on Germany in 1939. Can you believe that? The RAF, following an order of the General Assembly and a decision of NATO, has drawn up plans for the dispersion of fighters in various parts of the country on the territory of civil airports. The aim is for the UK's Rapid Reaction Force to avoid a devastating surprise first strike from Russia. Well, if they're doing that, it's because they must have gotten some intel that they may get a first strike. You don't just move your whole military to civilian airports, for fun. It's not something that's an easy thing to do. They wish they had done that in Pearl Harbor, but Russia has said on many occasions that they have no problem doing a first strike. They don't have the same policy that we have, to only retaliate with nuclear weapons, to only respond. They've said openly many times that they do not have a problem doing a first strike and that is not their policy. Their policy is not to wait until they get hit, but to hit first. And so yeah. Some of you are asking for the link. This is at warnews247.gr. So if you want to check that out, and I will try to, if I get a chance, put the link in the description, but that's War News 24/7. This is a Greek news channel. You have to change you have to use Google Translate, as you can see on the top here, to put it in English. But they're always, they're right there. They're in the mix. They're in Greece. In fact, Greece has their own problems going on right now with Erdogan in Turkey. That's a whole other story. But this one is really probably the biggest thing going on right now. If you can say that. Hey, Cass, good to see you. I mean, for Britain to be preparing for a first strike from Russia, that is huge, guys. That is first world. That is huge. I mean, this isn't just a skirmish anymore when you've got the two major superpowers. I mean, UK may not be the USA, but they are the financial backing, and they are the West. They're the UK, for crying out loud. I mean, it's where the US came from. I mean, they are big. It's big. UK and Russia is big. This is an unprecedented decision that shows that something serious is happening in the background, and it concerns the war in Ukraine. Well, whether it concerns war, it's a world war, guys. It's not the war in Ukraine anymore. I mean, come on, let's get over it already. We remind you that Britain is training 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers. After their training, they will return back to Ukraine to fight the Russian army. Well, that may be the grounds. I mean, probably not wise for the UK to be doing that on their own territory, because that'll be the grounds for Russia to bomb. They'll say, oh, it's because you're training those soldiers, but really, it's their chance to strike the UK. Hey, David, good to see you. In addition, Russia has recently been subjected to multiple attacks in Crimea and Kherson, for which it blames NATO and mainly the U.S. and Britain. Today, Russia's deputy foreign minister reiterated that it will consider U.S. and NATO vehicles carrying weapons on Ukrainian territory as legitimate military targets. Okay? So it's over, guys. I mean, it's war. This is world war. I mean, people want to keep milking it and stretching it. Well, we'll eventually be in world war. By that time that happens, it'll already be the dystopian future that you don't want to live in. I mean, it's already there, guys. And like I say, they're never going to say World War III on a head of a newspaper, not until after the fact, maybe until we're all done. Oh, I guess that was the World War. Yesterday, Dmitry Medvedev, the vice president of the Russian Security Council, revealed that Russia will not stop the war even if Ukraine rejects NATO membership. He also pointed out that the planet is on the brink of Armageddon and the first angel of apocalypse has already sounded. We talked about that in other videos. He's very biblically based, this man. Little does he know his fate is written there as well. Hey, KR, good to see you. So, guys, as they say, when the bombs go down, we go up, right? Everything points to an escalation in the Ukrainian war with the risk of the conflict spreading to other fronts. Dispersion of British fighters to civilian airfields. I mean, it's all bets are off. If they start bombing Britain, all bets are off. By then, it's like, then they can go after Israel, the U.S. I mean, all bets are off, guys. If they're looking to bomb Britain, that means they're looking to surround the U.S. with their subs and launch the nukes or the EMP or whatever they're going to do. And same thing with Israel. I mean, Ezekiel 38-39 war, guys, it's on the verge. For the first time since the Second World War, RAF fighters will be stationed on the ground of civilian airports. Wow, that's intense. You remember that? Did you guys see the movie Pearl Harbor, where they're going to the airports trying to get the civilian planes and things because all their stuff got bombed? NATO countries continue with their flamboyant preparations for a possible confrontation with Russia. Since the beginning of Operation Ukraine, NATO has been intensely building up forces on the eastern border, ostensibly to protect allies from the Russian threat. Thus, more than 1,600 British military personnel with heavy equipment are currently on Estonian soil. It has now become known that the Royal Air Force of Great Britain will reposition its fighters at civilian airports. Wow, that's huge. I mean, that's huge. For Britain to be doing that is huge. But, they're there in Europe, and they're pretty close to the Ukraine action. It is worth noting that such compensations are being made for the first time since the Second World War. They haven't done this since Hitler, guys. Since Hitler. The aforementioned redeployment is taking place under the Agile Combat Employment philosophy due to heightened tensions with Russia. The program was developed primarily for the Indo-Pacific region, the Middle East, and the alliance's eastern borders. It is now being implemented in Britain itself. In fact, the British administration wants to cover military equipment and soldiers with a civilian shield using the infrastructure as conventional airports. Yeah, I mean, think about that. Now they're going to go to the civilian airports, so that's basically making civilians at risk. So the whole point of having military bases is to keep that stuff separate. It used to be, you don't bomb the civilians, protect the women and children. You don't just start bombing everybody indiscriminately. You target the military bases, and that's why you have military bases. I mean, that's not the only reason you have them, but that's why you keep those things separate so that the civilians aren't harmed, because the whole point of a military base is to protect the civilians. So now if they're going to go to the civilian airport, now everybody's going to be under gun. And if you've seen those old videos of World War II, when they're in Britain, when they're getting bombed and their bricks are shaking and the dust is falling and they're all there underground, all the civilians. It is also worth recalling that earlier the British Prime Minister candidate Liz Truss stated that she is ready to press. I mean, seriously? Wow. She's ready to press the NUKE if necessary without any hesitation? Wow. I mean, give me a break. How can somebody just say that? So yeah, I'm ready to do it without any hesitation. Wow. Britain, let's avoid a surprise first blow. Okay, so they're preparing to be, if they're moving everything, that means they've got intel that's saying it's about to happen. Okay, they don't just do this because, maybe down the road. The strategy called Agile Combat Employment, I guess you can call it whatever you like, was in the works for more than a year and was mainly intended to be implemented in potential hotspots around the world, such as the Indo-Pacific, the Middle East, or even the eastern countries of NATO. But Russia's invasion of Ukraine and fears of a subsequent war involving NATO have now accelerated and spread inside the UK. Senior British officials have confirmed. They also add that the aim is to ensure that elements of the RAF's, I'm purposely mispronouncing this, Rapid Reaction Force can survive direct attacks on their bases. Eurofighter Typhoons based at RAF Lossiemouth in Moray will protect the UK's northern sector, while those at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire will cover the southern sector. However, other fighters and larger aircraft will also be redeployed in times of imminent crisis. A test will be held in September. Try to remember the kind of September. Guys, September, wake me up when September ends, right? September, it just seems to be that month. It's that crucial month, September. So it will be held in September. Then Typhoons and F-35s based in Norfolk, Lincolnshire, and Scotland will redeploy to dispersal positions in small groups on the outskirts of a select number of regional airports that have runways that can accommodate them. Under the ACE strategy, it will ensure that regional airfields are equipped with enough fuel and supplies to allow fighters to land there and carry out quick operational resupply before taking off again. The idea was first made public in December by Air Chief Marshal Ian DeGuid. I mean, the fact this is on their soil, that means it's going to get onto the Russian soil, and it's going to get onto the U.S. soil. It's about to get ugly, guys. It's about to get really, really ugly. And officials at the British Ministry of Defence inspected regional airports over the past year to see how many aircraft and spare facilities plus ground crews could be accommodated in an emergency. We're also working with some of the commercial regional airports to see if in times of crisis we could use their airports to use them for refueling and operational changes. I mean, they're preparing. Guys, this is it, man. This is it. I mean, it may take a little bit to get there, but boy, this is happening pretty fast. If they're already moving like this, then it may coincide, guys. It may ultimately coincide. I don't know if the Israel thing's going to go down then with Ezekiel or not. As far as us leaving, I mean, it certainly lines up real nicely scripturally for it to happen that way. And this is all pointing to that. I mean, if they're here doing this at August 29th, then where are we going to be in a month from now? Should we, or even 2 weeks from now? Should those be the dates? I mean, maybe we're taking here in the next day or two, but should those be the days? I mean, this could escalate really fast. According to sources, the negotiations were complex and involved financial incentives to private airport operators. The reality is that precision weapons with the right amount of warhead can successfully target and destroy air raid shelters. We saw this in the first Gulf War, so effectively they act as targets, former Commander Andrew Lambert said. Right after 9/1 of the one, when I was in Norway, we looked at the idea of deploying F-16s at local airfields. Deploying fast fighters and other types of aircraft at regional airfields makes sense because it makes the problem of targeting those aircraft more difficult. Does it? Or do they just target the civilian airports? I mean, you think the Ruskies are going to care? They're not going to care. If you're telling them right here what you're doing. So, they'll just target the civilian airports. They have no problem doing that. No problem. Liz Truss, I will press the, oh, good, Liz. Thanks. That's what we need. We need someone ready to press that button. Great. That's going to help. No, let's not ask for terms of peace. Let's not sit down at a table and try to work things out like he said at the very beginning and you gave him the hand. No, let's just get ready to press that button. Liz Truss will declare China a national security threat for the first time if she becomes Britain's prime minister. Well, there you go, man. War on every front. All the major nations are in play. You've got the Ruskies, you've got the Chileans, you've got the Britannians, and you've got the USAians. The British Foreign Secretary, if she becomes head of government, has promised to radically change foreign policy and give it a new shape. Oh, really? Like the shape of a big crater, a big bomb crater? That's a great shape. In particular, a shape of a mushroom cloud? In particular, it intends to review the long-term comprehensive review of security, defense, development, and foreign policy. It will set the UK's foreign policy and defense strategy for the next decade. Okay, so she's answering questions here. This is her. What a piece of work is man. How noble in reason. So I want to get a look at this. I don't think I've really seen her. They don't want you to see her. She's a mystery. Look, they're not even cutting to her face. What's going on here? Why? Who does an interview like this? Is this Cousin It? Okay, here we go. All right. I don't know if I've really taken a strong look at her yet. Okay. Now at least I know who we're talking about. Well, there you go, guys. Pretty serious stuff. So, man, start praying. Get close to Jesus. Get close to the Lord. Call upon the Lord. All who call on the name of the Lord will be saved. Turn to the Lord. Repent or perish, says Jesus. So make sure you do it all. Godly sorrow, guys. Now's the time to get godly sorrow. Get close to the Lord and share it with your friends and family because we are out of here real soon. All right, love you guys. That's just a quick one. I may be back. Talk to you soon.